My name is Esther, and the happiest phone call of my life turned into the worst betrayal I have ever known. Before I begin, please take 1 second to subscribe, like this video, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss powerful, emotional stories like this. Also, tell me in the comments what country you're watching from, so I know where my people are. Now listen carefully, because this story starts with joy and ends in shock. The phone rang early in the morning. I smiled when I saw my son's name. He sounded excited. "Mom," he said, almost shouting, "I'm getting married tomorrow." My heart jumped. "Tomorrow?" I laughed. "That's wonderful news." I was already thinking about what dress to wear. I imagined hugging him, crying happy tears, thanking God. Then his voice changed. "Mom," he said quickly, "I need you to understand something." I frowned. "Understand what?" I asked. There was a short silence. Then he said the words that froze my blood. "I withdrew all the money from your bank account." I stopped breathing. "I'm sorry. What did you say?" I whispered. "I took it," he replied calmly. "All of it. I needed it for the wedding." My hands started shaking. "That money is for my bills," I said. "For my food. For my medicine." He sighed, like I was being difficult. "You'll be fine," he said. "I'll pay you back later." Later. That word echoed in my head. I tried to speak, but my throat felt tight. "You didn't even ask me," I said softly. "I didn't have time," he replied. Everything happened fast. Fast. So fast that he forgot I was his mother. After the call ended, I sat there staring at the wall. I told myself it had to be a mistake. I grabbed my phone and opened my bank app. The balance showed 0. I refreshed it. Still 0. My legs gave out, and I sat down hard on the chair. He had taken everything. Let me stop here for a moment. Because what I felt next was not just pain. It was confusion. I had raised him alone. I had saved that money slowly, carefully, for years. I trusted him with my account because he said, "Mom, let me help you." And now, the help had emptied my life. I called him back. Straight to voicemail. I sent a message. "Please call me." No reply. I sent another. "I'm scared." Still nothing. That was when fear turned into something else. A cold, quiet understanding. I whispered to myself. He expected me to beg. And that scared me more than the empty bank account. Because if he thought I would beg, that meant he believed he had power over me. I looked around my small living room. The photos on the wall. The couch I had slept on during hard nights. The table where I counted coins when money was tight. I had survived worse than this. But I had never expected it to come from my own child. Then my phone buzzed. A message from him. "Please don't ruin my wedding." I stared at the screen. My heart broke in a way I cannot explain. Because in that moment, I realized something terrible. He didn't call to celebrate with me. He called to take from me. I did not cry right away. I sat very still, holding my phone, staring at the message on the screen. "Please don't ruin my wedding." It felt like the words were laughing at me. Ruin his wedding? He had just emptied my bank account. He had just taken the money I used to survive. And he was worried about his wedding day. That was when my hands started shaking. I stood up slowly and walked to the kitchen. I opened the cupboard. Almost empty. Just a small bag of rice. A tin of soup. I opened the fridge. Nothing but water. I leaned against the counter and closed my eyes. "God," I whispered, "what am I supposed to do?" No answer came. Only silence. I picked up my phone again and tried calling him. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Blocked. My heart dropped. He didn't just take the money. He cut me off. Let me go back a little. When my son first offered to help me with my banking, I felt relieved. My eyes were not as sharp as before. The apps confused me. He said, "Mom, let me handle it. I don't want you stressing." I believed him. I trusted him. I never imagined he would use that trust against me. That afternoon, I walked to the bank. It was hot outside. My legs hurt, but I kept walking. When I reached the counter, I told the woman my name and said I needed help. She looked at her screen and frowned. "There was a large withdrawal early this morning," she said. "Yes," I replied. "My son did it." She looked up at me. "Did you approve it?" she asked. I shook my head. "No," I said. "I didn't even know." Her face changed. "Ma'am," she said gently, "your account access has been changed." "Changed how?" I asked. "You no longer have control," she replied. "Your son does." I felt dizzy. I sat down in the chair near the counter. "So I can't take out my own money?" I asked. She shook her head. "Not without his permission." That was when I understood something very painful. He didn't just take the money. He planned it. I left the bank feeling smaller than I had ever felt before. People walked past me, laughing, talking on their phones, living normal lives. They had no idea I had just lost everything. When I got home, my phone buzzed again. A message from him. "I'll pay you back after the honeymoon." I laughed. A short, broken laugh. After the honeymoon. What was I supposed to eat until then? I typed slowly. "I need money for food and medicine." The reply came minutes later. "Please don't make this hard." That was it. That was when I knew. He wasn't listening. He was waiting. Waiting for me to beg. That night, I sat on my bed in the dark. I thought about calling relatives. I thought about asking neighbors. But something stopped me. Shame. I had spent my whole life being strong. I didn't want to be pitied. And I didn't want him to win. I remembered something my mother used to say. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. My son had shown me who he was. And I had to decide who I was going to be. The next morning, I woke up hungry. My stomach hurt. But my mind was clear. I made a decision. I would not beg. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not ever. I went back to the bank. This time, I asked a different question. "What can I do to get my account back?" I asked. The woman looked at me carefully. "There are steps," she said. "But it won't be easy." I nodded. "I'm ready," I said. She gave me a form. As I held the pen, my hand trembled. This was not just about money anymore. This was about respect. This was about my life. As I signed the form, my phone buzzed again. A new message from my son. "Don't do anything stupid. We'll talk after the wedding." I stared at the words. Then I placed the phone face down on the desk. Because in that moment, I realized something important. He thought he controlled the ending of this story. He was wrong. I left the bank with the form folded carefully inside my bag. It felt heavier than paper. It felt like a decision. As I walked home, my legs ached, but my mind stayed sharp. For the first time since that phone call, I was not crying inside. I was thinking. Thinking about every small detail. Every word he had said. Every step he had taken. This was not an accident. This was a plan. When I got home, I locked the door and sat at the table. I took out the old notebook I used for bills. Inside were years of notes. Dates. Amounts. Bank visits. Receipts. I had always written things down. Not because I was smart, but because I was careful. That habit was about to save me. I turned on my old laptop. It took a long time to start. While it loaded, my phone buzzed again. A message from him. "The wedding is at 2 p.m. Don't cause problems." I stared at the screen. Problems. That word made my chest tighten. To him, my hunger was a problem. My fear was a problem. My survival was a problem. I did not reply. On the laptop, I opened my email. I searched his name. Hundreds of messages appeared. Some were years old. I opened one at random. Mom, I moved some money to help you. Don't worry. Another. Mom, I paid your bill. You're welcome. Another. Mom, trust me. I know what I'm doing. I suddenly understood something painful. He had been training me to stop asking questions. I printed everything. Emails. Statements. Notifications. The printer hummed loudly in the quiet room. Each page felt like proof. That afternoon, I went to a small legal aid office near the bus stop. I had passed it many times but never gone inside. This time I did. A young woman greeted me. She listened without interrupting. She did not rush me. When I finished, she said something I will never forget. "Ma'am, this is not just family trouble," she said. "This is financial abuse." The word hit me hard. Abuse. I had never used that word for my son. She explained things slowly, using simple words. What he did was not legal. What he did was not normal. What he did was not my fault. Tears ran down my face. Not because I was weak, but because someone finally believed me. She helped me fill out more papers. She told me what could happen next. "It may take time," she said. "But once we act, he cannot undo it easily." I nodded. "Do it," I said. When I got home, the house felt different. Like it knew something had changed. I sat down and ate the last of the soup. I did not save it. I did not ration it. I ate like someone who planned to survive. That night, I did not sleep much. At 1:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. A message from him. "Why are you not answering?" Then another. "Don't embarrass me tomorrow." Then one more. "Remember who takes care of you." I turned the phone off. For the first time in years. In the morning, I woke up early. I put on my best dress. Not for the wedding. For myself. I looked in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. She looked tired. But she also looked awake. At exactly 10:47 a.m., my phone turned back on. Missed calls. Voicemails. Then one new message. "What did you do? The bank is calling me." My heart started beating fast. But I did not panic. I whispered softly. "It has begun." Another message came seconds later. "Answer me now." Then another. "This is not funny." Then another. "You promised you wouldn't cause trouble." I sat down slowly. My hands were shaking. Not with fear. With adrenaline. At 11:15 a.m., the phone rang. I answered. "Mom," he said, his voice tight. "What did you tell the bank?" I spoke calmly. "I told the truth," I said. There was silence. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "If you don't fix this," he whispered, "don't bother coming to the wedding." I closed my eyes. I had expected anger. I had expected threats. But hearing that still hurt. "I wasn't invited for love," I said quietly. "I was invited for money." He hung up. I sat there in silence. Then my phone buzzed again. A new number. Unknown. I answered. "Ma'am," a man said. "This is the bank's fraud department. We need to speak with you urgently." My heart jumped. "Yes," I replied. "I'm ready." The man from the bank spoke slowly, carefully, like he knew every word mattered. "Ma'am," he said, "we've reviewed the activity on your account. What happened this morning raises serious concerns." I held the phone tightly. "Concerns how?" I asked. "There was a full withdrawal," he replied, "followed by an immediate restriction placed on your access. That combination is not normal." I closed my eyes. "So I was right," I whispered. "He planned it." There was a short pause. Yes, the man said. And because you reported it when you did, we were able to stop further movement. Further movement. That meant he had planned to take more. The man explained what would happen next. The account would be temporarily frozen. My son's access would be suspended. An investigation would begin. Will I get my money back? I asked quietly. If the withdrawal is confirmed as unauthorized, he said, yes. Tears filled my eyes. Not from relief. From the thought that he had been ready to leave me with nothing. After the call ended, I sat very still. Outside, birds were singing. Cars passed. Life went on like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. At 12:30 p.m., my phone buzzed again. This time, it was him. I stared at the screen. I knew his voice would be different now. Angry. Panicked. Sharp. I answered. What did you do? He demanded. I did not raise my voice. I told the bank the truth, I said. You had no right, he shouted. I almost laughed. No right. I repeated. It was my money. You're ruining my wedding, he yelled. I took a deep breath. You ruined my safety, I replied. He went quiet for a moment. Then his tone changed. Soft. Careful. The voice he used when he wanted something. Mom, he said, please. We can fix this after the ceremony. After. That word again. I don't have after, I said. I have today. You're being dramatic, he snapped. I felt something harden inside me. I was dramatic when I couldn't buy food? I asked. I was dramatic when you blocked me? He said nothing. In the background, I heard noise. Music. Voices. Laughter. The wedding was already starting. He was calling me from the middle of it. Listen, he said quickly, lowering his voice. Just tell them you misunderstood. Say you gave permission. I shook my head, even though he couldn't see me. No, I said. You're my mother, he hissed. You're supposed to protect me. I swallowed. I protected you your whole life, I said quietly. And you used that protection to hurt me. He exploded. You're selfish, he shouted. You always were. That hurt more than I expected. I closed my eyes. If protecting myself makes me selfish, I said, then I accept that. He hung up. Minutes later, my phone buzzed again. A message. You are dead to me if you don't fix this. I stared at the words. Then I placed the phone face down. Because I finally understood something. He had already decided to lose me. He just wanted to take everything first. At 1:45 p.m., another call came. This time, from the legal aid office. Ma'am, the woman said, the bank has flagged the withdrawal as potential fraud. They may contact law enforcement. My heart pounded. Today? I asked. Yes, she replied. Possibly within the hour. I looked at the clock. The wedding was scheduled for 2 p.m. I imagined him standing at the altar, smiling, confident, certain he had won. I imagined the guests sitting down, the music starting, and somewhere behind the scenes, his phone buzzing. I did not feel happy about that. I felt sad. Sad that it had come to this. Sad that love had turned into control. At exactly 2:07 p.m., my phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered. Ma'am, a calm voice said. This is a police officer. We need to ask you some questions about a financial report you filed. My heart skipped. Yes, I replied. I'm ready. As I spoke to the officer, I could hear faint music through my phone. Wedding music. Then suddenly, it stopped. The officer paused. Are you okay, ma'am? He asked. Yes, I said quietly. For the first time in a long while. When the call ended, I sat back in my chair. My hands were shaking. Not with fear. With the weight of what was happening. I did not know exactly what was happening at the wedding. I did not know who was speaking to him or what they were saying. But I knew this. The day he thought he was starting a new life was the day he lost control over mine. I did not hear what happened at the wedding right away. I only felt it. A strange quiet settled inside me, like the moment after a storm when the air feels heavy and still. I sat alone in my living room, my phone resting on the table, waiting for something I could not yet name. At 2:19 p.m., my phone buzzed. A message. Not from my son. From a number I did not recognize. "Are you okay?" I frowned and typed back. "Who is this?" The reply came quickly. "This is his aunt. Something is wrong here." My heart started beating faster. Before I could respond, my phone rang again. This time, it was my son. I stared at his name on the screen. My hand hovered over the phone. Then I answered. "What is happening?" he shouted before I could speak. His voice was shaking. Not angry. Panicked. "Why are there police officers here?" he demanded. "What did you tell them?" I took a slow breath. "I told them the truth," I said calmly. "You promised you wouldn't ruin this," he yelled. "I promised nothing," I replied. "You assumed." I could hear voices in the background. Confused voices. Someone crying. Someone asking questions. The wedding music was gone. The celebration had stopped. "They're asking me about the money," he said, lowering his voice. "They're asking why I took it." I closed my eyes. "And what did you tell them?" I asked. He hesitated. "I told them it was a misunderstanding," he said. "That you gave me permission." I felt a sharp pain in my chest. "And?" I asked. "They want to talk to you," he said quietly. A new call came in. I switched lines. "Ma'am," a police officer said, "we're at a wedding venue. We need to confirm some details with you." I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. "Yes," I said. "Ask me anything." The questions were simple. "Did you give permission for the withdrawal?" "No." "Did you know about it beforehand?" "No." "Did your son block your access afterward?" "Yes." Each answer felt like a door closing. Not on me. On him. I could hear my son in the background now. His voice was raised. "This is ridiculous," he shouted. "She's confused." The officer's voice stayed calm. "Sir," he said, "please lower your voice." I imagined the scene. Guests sitting in silence. The bride standing somewhere, confused and embarrassed. My son pacing, sweating, losing control. The wedding day he had rushed for money, slipping through his fingers. The officer spoke again. "Ma'am," he said, "based on what you've told us, this may be treated as a criminal matter." My stomach tightened. I had known this was possible, but hearing it out loud still hurt. "Yes," I replied softly. "I understand." The call ended. Seconds later, my son called again. This time, his voice was different. Smaller. "Mom," he said quietly, "please." That one word broke my heart more than all the shouting. "Please what?" I asked. "Please tell them you made a mistake," he said. "Please fix this." I leaned back in my chair. "I asked you for food money," I said gently. "You told me to wait." He was silent. "I asked you to call me back," I continued. "You blocked me." Still silence. "You wanted me to beg," I said. "But now you're begging." "I was under pressure," he whispered. "The wedding was expensive. People were expecting things. And I wasn't a person?" I asked. He did not answer. "I love you," I said quietly. "But love does not mean letting you destroy me." I ended the call. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed again. A message. From him. "They're taking me somewhere to talk." I stared at the screen. Then another message came. I didn't think you'd go this far. I typed back slowly. I didn't think you would either. I set the phone down and looked around my house. Everything was still there. The walls. The furniture. The memories. I was still standing. The sun was already going down when the call finally came. I had been sitting in the same chair for hours, my hands folded, my mind racing. Every sound outside made me look up. Every vibration of my phone made my heart jump. Then it rang. I answered immediately. "Mom," my son said. His voice was flat. Not angry. Not loud. Empty. "They took my statement," he continued. "They asked me everything." I stayed quiet. "They asked about the wedding," he said. "About the money. About you." I swallowed. "And what did you tell them?" I asked. There was a long pause. "I told them you knew," he said slowly. "That you agreed." My chest tightened. "So you lied," I said. He sighed. "I had to," he replied. "Do you know how this looks?" I almost laughed. "You emptied my account," I said softly. "You blocked me. And you're worried about how it looks." He raised his voice slightly. "They didn't believe me," he said. "They said the bank records don't match my story." I closed my eyes. "Because the truth doesn't change," I replied. He went quiet again. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. "They're asking about other accounts." I sat up straight. "What other accounts?" I asked. "The officer said my name came up before," he admitted. "Something about similar complaints." My heart began to race. "Similar to what?" I asked. He did not answer right away. "Other parents," he finally said. "Other older people." The room felt suddenly too small. I remembered something then. A neighbor from years ago. An older woman who used to smile at my son when he helped her with groceries. How he once said, "She trusts me with her bills now." I had thought he was kind. I felt sick. "They asked if I ever handled money for anyone else," he continued. I said no. "And?" I asked. "They showed me documents," he said quietly. "Transfers. Authorizations. Signatures." My hands started shaking. "Whose signatures?" I asked. There was a pause so long I thought the call had dropped. Then he whispered, "Not mine." I leaned back in my chair, dizzy. "So this wasn't just about the wedding," I said. "No," he replied. "But you started it." I opened my eyes. "No," I said firmly. "You exposed it." His voice changed then. Lower. Sharper. "You think you're a hero now," he snapped. "You think you saved people?" "I think I saved myself," I replied. "And what about me?" he demanded. I took a deep breath. "You made your choices," I said. "I'm making mine." He laughed bitterly. "They're talking about charges," he said. "Real ones." I closed my eyes again. "I never wanted this," I whispered. "Neither did I," he replied quickly. But I knew that wasn't true. He wanted the money. He wanted control. He just didn't want consequences. There was noise on his end now. Voices. A door opening. Someone saying his name. "I have to go," he said suddenly. "They want me back in the room." Before he hung up, he said one last thing. "If you don't help me now," he warned, "you'll lose me forever." The line went dead. I sat there in silence. The words echoed in my head. "You'll lose me forever." I thought about all the years I had already lost. The nights I went hungry so he could eat. The dreams I put away so he could chase his. The trust one gave without question. Had I already lost him? Or had I just finally seen him? My phone buzzed again. This time, it was not him. It was the bank. "Ma'am," the woman said, "we've completed our review." My heart jumped. And? I asked. The funds have been traced, she said. And they were not used only for a wedding. I gripped the phone. What were they used for? I whispered. There was a pause. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. They were moved through multiple accounts, she said. Some of which are now under investigation. I thanked her and ended the call. I sat back, staring at the wall. This was bigger than I thought. Much bigger. That night, I barely slept. Just before dawn, my phone buzzed again. A message. From an unknown number. We need to speak. This is about your son. My heart started pounding. I typed back slowly. Who is this? The reply came instantly. Someone else he hurt. I stared at the message for a long time. Someone else he hurt. My fingers felt stiff as I typed back. Where can we talk? The reply came almost immediately. Tomorrow morning. Small cafe near the old bus stop. I did not sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my son as a little boy, holding my hand. Then the picture would change, and I would see him standing at the wedding venue, shouting into his phone, angry that I did not save him. I kept asking myself one question. How did we get here? The next morning, I dressed slowly. I chose simple clothes. Nothing fancy. Nothing weak. I wanted to look like myself. When I arrived at the cafe, a woman was already sitting at a corner table. She looked tired. Her hands were wrapped around a cup of tea like she needed the warmth. She stood when she saw me. Thank you for coming, she said softly. I nodded and sat down. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she took a deep breath. My brother trusted your son, she said. My heart sank. She spoke slowly, carefully, like each word hurt. My brother was sick, she continued. He couldn't read small letters anymore. Your son offered to help him with his money. I felt my chest tighten. He said the same things, she said. That it was just paperwork. That it was temporary. That he was helping. I closed my eyes. How much? I asked quietly. All of it, she replied. His savings. His pension. Everything. She wiped her eyes. When my brother realized what happened, it was too late, she said. He was already in debt. He felt ashamed. I swallowed hard. What happened to him? I asked. She looked down. He passed away, she said. Not long after. The cafe felt suddenly too loud. Too bright. I could barely breathe. I didn't know, I whispered. I know, she said gently. That's why I wanted to meet you. She leaned forward. You're the first person who didn't stay silent, she said. The first who fought back. Her words hit me hard. All this time, I thought I was just protecting myself. I didn't realize I was opening a door for others too. Later that day, the detective called me. Ma'am, he said, your statement helped us connect several cases. Several. Not one. Not two. Several. They're looking at a pattern now, he continued. And your son is at the center of it. I closed my eyes. So it's true, I whispered. Yes, he said. And there's something else. My heart skipped. What? I asked. He hesitated. We believe he planned the wedding quickly, the detective said, because he knew time was running out. I felt cold all over. The money, I said slowly. He needed it fast. Yes, the detective replied. And not just for the wedding. That evening, my son called again. His voice was rough. They're holding me overnight, he said. I said nothing. Mom, he continued. People are lying about me. I took a deep breath. They're telling their truth, I replied. He snapped. You always take their side. I felt tears burn my eyes. I'm taking the side of what's right, I said. You taught me that once. He went quiet. Then he said something that scared me. If I go down for this, he said slowly, I'm not going alone. My heart started pounding. What do you mean? I asked. He laughed softly. You'll find out, he said. The line went dead. I sat there shaking. His words echoed in my head. I'm not going alone. What did that mean? What could he possibly say about me? That night, I received another call. From the detective. Ma'am, he said, we need to prepare you. For what? I asked. For the possibility, he replied, that your son may try to blame you. My chest tightened. Blame me for what? I whispered. There was a pause. Then he said the words that made my heart stop. For giving him permission, years ago. I did not sleep after that call. The detective's words kept repeating in my head. He may try to blame you. He may say you gave permission. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my heart beating fast. I had spent my whole life protecting my son. Now I had to protect myself from him. That thought hurt more than anything else. The next morning, I went back to the bank. Not to ask for money. To ask for records. The woman at the desk recognized me. You again, she said gently. Yes, I replied. I need copies of everything. She nodded and disappeared into the back. When she returned, she placed a thick folder in front of me. Statements, dates, times, signatures. I flipped through them slowly. Every large transfer had one thing in common. They happened when I was asleep. Or sick. Or not even in town. My hands shook. This proves I didn't approve it, I said. She nodded. Yes, she replied. And it proves something else. What? I asked. These withdrawals were done in a way meant to confuse, she said. Like someone trying to hide a pattern. After the bank, I went straight to the legal aid office. The lawyer listened carefully as I explained everything. She leaned back in her chair. He's trying to build a story, she said. A story about what? I asked. That you agreed, she replied. That you trusted him so much you gave him full control. I laughed bitterly. I did trust him, I said. That's why this hurts. She nodded. Trust is not permission, she said firmly. And we can prove that. That afternoon, my phone rang. It was my son. I almost didn't answer. But I did. Mom, he said quickly. They're twisting everything. I stayed quiet. They're saying I planned this, he continued. They're saying I targeted people. I took a deep breath. Did you? I asked. Silence. Then he said. You told me to help you. My chest tightened. I told you to help, I said slowly. Not to take. That's your opinion, he snapped. No, I replied. That's the truth. His voice changed. Controlled. The voice he used when he wanted something. If you tell them you trusted me, he said. If you say you gave me permission, this can all go away. I felt cold. And if I don't? I asked. He hesitated. Then they'll ask why you waited so long, he said. They'll ask what kind of mother lets this happen. I closed my eyes. So this was his plan. To turn my love into guilt. That night, the detective came to my house. He sat across from me at the table. Your son is changing his story, he said. I know, I replied. He's suggesting you approved the withdrawals, the detective continued. And that you're only upset now because the wedding cost more than expected. I felt sick. That's a lie, I said. We know, the detective replied. But we need you to be ready. Ready for what? I asked. To testify, he said. The word felt heavy. Testify. Against my own child. After he left, I sat alone in the dark. I thought about all the times I defended my son. All the times I said, he means well. He's just stressed. He's a good boy. I realized something painful. My silence had protected him before. But now, my silence would protect his lies. The next day, I received a call from the cafe woman again. More people are coming forward, she said. How many? I asked. At least 3, she replied. All with the same story. My heart sank. This was bigger than me. Bigger than my pain. That evening, my son sent me a message. Last chance. Help me or lose me. I stared at the screen. My hands trembled. I typed back slowly. I'm telling the truth. Seconds later, another message came. Then I'll tell mine. My heart dropped. I knew what that meant. He was going to lie. He was going to say I agreed. That I signed. That I knew. He was going to drag me down with him. The next morning, my phone rang early. It was the detective. Ma'am, he said, we need you at the station today. Why? I asked. Your son made a statement, he replied. My chest tightened. What did he say? I whispered. There was a pause. Then the detective said quietly. He said you told him to take the money. The police station smelled like metal and old coffee. I noticed that first, because my mind was trying to hold on to small things. Safe things. Anything except the reason I was there. My son had told them I gave him permission. That I told him to take the money. That lie sat heavy on my chest as I walked through the doors. A detective met me at the front desk. He spoke gently, but his eyes were serious. Thank you for coming in, he said. Please follow me. My legs felt weak, but I followed him down a long hallway into a small room with a table and 2 chairs. I sat down slowly. This was it. He placed a recorder on the table. I need to be clear, he said. Your son has made a formal statement. I nodded. He claims you told him to withdraw the money for the wedding, the detective continued. He says you agreed and only changed your mind later. I felt my throat tighten. That's not true, I said quietly. We know, he replied. But we need you to tell your side. Carefully. I took a deep breath. And I began. I told him about the phone call. About the excitement. About the shock. I repeated my son's exact words as best as I could. I withdrew all the money from your bank account. The detective wrote everything down. Then he asked, did you ever tell him he could take your savings? No, I said firmly. Never. Did you sign any document giving him permission? No. Did you know the money was taken before he told you? No. Each answer felt like another brick placed between me and his lie. The detective leaned forward. Your son says you trusted him completely, he said. That you told him to handle things. I trusted him to help, I replied. Not to decide my life without me. He nodded. That distinction matters, he said. Then he showed me something. A printed transcript. My son's statement. I read it slowly. He said I was confused. That I forgot conversations. That I agreed but later panicked. My hands began to shake. He's calling me a liar, I whispered. He's trying to protect himself, the detective said calmly. I felt something rise inside me. Not anger. Not fear. Resolve. He knows I won't lie for him anymore, I said. That scares him. The detective nodded. Yes, he said. It does. He slid another folder across the table. Inside were bank logs. Times. Locations. Devices. These withdrawals were made from his phone, he said. At locations you were not present. I looked at the pages. Proof. Real proof. He didn't just take the money, I said softly. He planned it. Yes, the detective replied. Then he said something that made my heart ache. He cried during his statement, he said. He said you abandoned him. Tears filled my eyes. I never abandoned him, I whispered. I just stopped sacrificing myself. The detective asked one final question. If this goes to court, he said, are you willing to testify against your son? The room went quiet. I thought about his first steps, his first words, the nights I stayed awake holding him. Then I thought about the empty bank account, the blocked calls, the hunger. I lifted my head. Yes, I said, I am. When I left the station, the sun was low in the sky. I felt exhausted, but lighter, like I had finally told the truth out loud. That night, my phone buzzed. A message from my son. How could you do this to me? I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed back. You did this. I just stopped hiding it. Minutes later, another message came. They're charging me. I closed my eyes. I did not reply. I went to bed that night knowing something painful but important. I had not lost my son that day. I had lost him the moment he chose control over love. The courtroom was quieter than I expected. No shouting. No drama. Just the sound of papers moving and people breathing. I sat on a wooden bench, my hands folded in my lap, waiting for my name to be called. I did not look at my son when he walked in. I did not need to. I could feel him. I could feel the weight of everything that had happened pressing down on both of us. When I was called to speak, my legs trembled, but my voice did not. I told the story exactly as it happened. The phone call. The excitement. The words that changed everything. I withdrew all the money from your bank account. I spoke slowly, clearly, using simple words. I wanted everyone to understand. I wanted there to be no confusion. I did not exaggerate. I did not insult him. I did not beg. I told the truth. They showed the bank records, the times, the locations, the device used. They showed the blocked access, the messages, the lies. The room stayed silent. Even my son said nothing. When the judge spoke, his voice was firm. He said the words I will never forget. This was not a misunderstanding. This was intentional. I closed my eyes. Not in relief. In grief. My son finally looked at me. Not with anger. Not with blame. With shock. Like he was only just realizing that the power he thought he had was gone. The decision was made. The money would be returned. The charges would stand. The truth would stay on record. When it was over, people stood and began to leave. I stayed seated for a moment. I needed to breathe. Outside the courthouse, the sun was bright. Too bright for such a heavy day. I stood there alone, feeling older, but also lighter. I had lost something, but I had gained myself back. Later that evening, I returned home. My home. I made a simple meal and sat at the table. No fear of checking my bank balance. No fear of my phone ringing. No fear of being controlled. Just quiet. My phone buzzed once. A message. From my son. I never thought you'd go this far. I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed back. I never thought you would either. I did not send another message. I did not wait for a reply. That night, I slept deeply. Not because everything was perfect, but because everything was honest. And now, before I end this story, I want to speak directly to you. If someone is controlling you with money, if they are waiting for you to beg, if they think your silence means weakness, please remember this. Silence is not weakness, but choosing yourself is strength. If this story touched you, subscribe for more emotional and powerful stories like this. Like this video so more people can hear it. And turn on notifications, because the next story might help someone who feels trapped right now. Also, tell me in the comments what country you're watching from. Because sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is stop begging and start standing.